Functional patterns is genius. Weck method, GOTA. This movement towards loading movements closer to what we really want is an important shift that's happening in strength training. And it's happening because there's a rapid deterioration of the posture, the function, the pain in the human body that people are experiencing. And there's a lot of reasons why there's more injuries, there's more pain. It's not just down to shift in biomechanics, but that's definitely a part of it. We're sitting for a lot longer than we ever have in the past. We're not required to go and run and hunt, and we're not even required to build stuff and carry furniture and all those things that we were doing just a few decades ago, a lot more than what we are now. Groceries are getting delivered, like everything is trending towards us moving less and less and less. So strength training needs to trend more towards, okay, this really is directly preparing someone to be able to carry the groceries or chase their child or whatever it is. Because if we're not training those lines of force and those exact motor patterns, then we're not going to be prepared for them. So we're going to be at risk of injury when we do those things. At the same time, there's something good about what we did traditionally in strength training. We worked out, hey, if we do the sport and the thing and children grow up in a normal outdoor environment on the farm, and then they lift this heavy barbell thing, which allows us to lift lots of weight, then we get stronger and we already have those patterns and lines of force and things in place where we can go and use that functionally. So the old way works. The new way works. Maybe the oldest way is the new way, whichever one you want to call which. It doesn't really matter. But we don't need this information war. We need to figure out how all of this stuff comes together. Where does the rope fit in? The clubs, the horizontal pulley systems that functional patterns have delivered and developed. There's something very important happening with that. And so we need to regress strength training back to, well, these are the positions that we want to be strong in. So let's use these positions and then progress from being able to pause in those positions or pulse in those positions in the way that the J. Schroeder system worked from long duration isometrics. So like be able to pause in this position to then being able to amortize maximally in that position is like the end game. So if we take an approach that involves physics of the J. Schroeder, Marinovich systems of thinking a lot about developing the elastic qualities of the tissue, and then we also develop use the ideas of Poliquin with strengthening the different positions and being aware of the different adaptations that happen at different parts of the strength curve, which ATG is like something that's in the middle of these two, and that's why it's done so well and it's so important. But we can go further with specificity, and there's still a place for that very general development of doing a mid-thigh rack pull or the trap bar deadlift or something which is very, very, very general. There is a place for that. We just need to understand how it all fits together and what the individual needs. I love what David Weck is saying with there's a ratio in these things. There's, is it 4-to-1 between things that mimic how we actually want to move in the real world, if we want to throw, if we want to sprint, if we want to be able to wrestle. These are the three movements I think we should be using as the North Star. But when I say sprint or run, I'm thinking also of chasing something. If you want to chase the dog, the cat, the lion, you want to be, it's not this big up tall gait. That is minimally useful. There's a place for it as well. You're running away from something, you want to run pretty straight, but our advantage is our adaptability. And so we need to have the adaptability as the North Star of like, hey, whatever we want to do, we're able to do because we're humans, we're mankind. So that sprint, throw, and then wrestle. Dance is really a progression towards wrestle. Dancing is a form of combat sport where you don't try and destroy the other person. You maybe try and court them, but you're preparing to be able to go into combat if you wanted to with plyometric type movements and extreme muscle dexterity. This is what's been on my mind a lot, and I've been practicing these movements and playing with things. These last few months, I've been thinking about this stuff nonstop and wanting to understand what is the message here. And I think if functional patterns looks like it's doing the best job of really breaking things down and then bringing it back towards their North Star, which is stand, walk, sprint, or stand, run, sprint, I don't know, one or the other, and throw. But I think the reason why functional patterns wants to go to war with everyone, maybe it's just because it's good for social media and stuff to create conflict and controversy. Maybe it's a strategy in business, I don't know. But that adaptability of a human to be able to do acrobatics, to be able to do ballet, to be able to do it can't all be wrong. It can't all be bad because it doesn't lead us towards up tall gait and throwing. But at the same time, there's so much genius in what they're saying in functional patterns. And what I was saying is, I think they're doing the best job of like, hey, you're tilting a bit to the left, you're compressed here, this muscle, that position, especially orientating around the spine and the pelvis. Don't see anyone else willing to really stand up big with that kind of message. I'm sure there's lots of practitioners and chiropractors and people out there who are doing it, and amazing people in elite sport who don't publish their stuff. But functional patterns is having a go at taking on the establishment of what CrossFit did. And CrossFit did something amazing. It got to 13,000 gyms all around the world, people thinking about paleo and ketogenic diets and even zone diets, but whole food challenges, and communities of groups of 100 150 people who really know each other and care about each other. Like, all of these things are beautiful. Rather than being at war with each other, what if we looked to combine these best elements of these things and make a real solution? The fitness industry, the health industry is statistically failing very, very badly. So how do we shift that? How do we make a new future for mankind where children grow up to be athletic and it's the norm to be able to go out and hunt something with a spear if you needed to? Like, biologically, we've needed to do that in the past. So the sprint, throw, wrestle, you wrestle the thing onto your back, you've managed to make the kill, and you're able to feed your family, you survive another few months. We want this ability, and it's a playful ability as well. All cultures have this dance wrestle component to them, and it's there for a reason, because we've got these big complex brains. We're not meant to reduce it down to the most minimal thing of just being able to sprint and throw. It's a great foundation in the sense that it gives us a direction with our training, and I think orienting towards gait and the shoulders being able to function at high speeds is fantastic. It gives us that aspirational thing, which CrossFit gave us aspiration, and it was great, but their aspiration was towards quite an abstract, mostly bilateral, mostly, linear loading system. And so, yeah, this is the fun, is we get to be this next evolution of stuff. And calisthenics is great, and strongman training is great, and there's all of these things are coming together of like, how do we do this? We need to be outside, we need to be in the sun, we need to restore these mechanics. And so I'm thinking about, like, from birth, pre-birth, how do we best create the best environment for mankind, for the movement the flourishment of movement potential. And then how do we also bring back those who are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 and want to actually return to more athletic ability? I think we're not seriously taking on that question when we talk about squats and benches and deadlifts and CrossFit and stuff. Like, we do have better technology than this now, and ATG has done the best job of sharing some better technology and strength training. But I think there's more. I think there's more precision that we can go to, and I think we need to have this conversation. So I would love to hear what you are thinking about this specific conversation. What has changed for you? What have you been experimenting with, including some rope flow? Are you doing club training? Have you been onto it for a long time with the rotational stuff? Are you doing the postural structural analysis? I think Check method probably was a pioneer in bringing like a relatively mainstream, making that an option for a coach, that you could do a thorough postural analysis. But then I don't think Check's been so interested in that run, sprint, throw type of a deal. He's a muscular guy. He likes being thick. He picks up his stones. That's the wrestle type deal. But yeah, tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know everything about all these systems, and I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm writing this magical athlete Bible to deliver my whole system of how I understand holistic approach to health and training and nutrition, and then also what is the ideal training system. We can get into sets and reps and how to set up the whole thing so it's fun and gamified in the way that CrossFit is. We're working towards important things. But this central piece of like, hey, where are we going with this is the thing that I want to hear your thoughts on today.